6 people posted their darkest secrets online. The third story is the reason I stopped taking rideshares alone at night. Stay till the end because the last one still doesn't have an answer. All right, let's get into the first one. I recognized my Uber driver's voice from somewhere I really didn't want to. I took an Uber home from a work event in Ohio last week, alone, around 11 p.m. The driver was quiet, polite, the kind of guy you forget 5 minutes after getting out of the car. About 10 minutes in, he started humming along to the radio, and something about the tune hit me wrong. I placed it 3 streets before my house. It was the exact melody a man used to hum, low and constant, outside my dorm room door for 2 weeks straight my sophomore year of college, 6 years ago, a different state entirely. Campus police never found him. He never touched anyone as far as we knew. He just hummed and knocked twice every few nights, then stopped coming around after we got a camera installed. I sat in that back seat doing the math on how many states away I was from that campus. How a stranger's humming habit could possibly be the exact same off-key tune out of every song that exists. I didn't say anything. I tipped him 5 stars. I got out 2 blocks before my actual address and walked the rest of the way, checking behind me the whole time. When I got inside, I looked up his driver profile. Active for exactly 6 years. Same 6 years since the humming outside my dorm stopped. 3 nights later, a rideshare request came through on my own account that I never made, a pickup scheduled for 2 a.m. from an address I didn't recognize to my house. I still don't know who canceled it. It wasn't me. All right, moving on to the next one. I just found out why my husband always plans our anniversary trips alone. We've been married 9 years. Every year for our anniversary, my husband Tom surprises me with a trip he's already booked, flights, hotel, everything. I always thought it was sweet, old-fashioned romantic. Last month his phone synced to our shared iPad by accident and I saw his calendar. 9 years of entries. Every single anniversary trip was booked under a different name at check-in. Not Tom and me. Tom and a name I didn't recognize, the same name every year for 9 years. I didn't confront him. I called the hotel from 3 years ago, the one in Sedona, and asked to speak to guest services, said I was trying to recover a lost item from our stay. I gave them the dates. The woman on the phone paused and said, "Ma'am, I have the reservation up. It says 1 adult, 1 child. I have never been pregnant. We don't have kids. I'm going on the trip he booked for next month. I haven't told him what I know. I want to see with my own eyes who's going to be standing at that check-in desk next to him. Update for anyone who sees this before I post the follow-up. I already packed. I already know the hotel name. I'm not planning on canceling." Okay, this next post had me stuck for a sec. Let's get into it. Am I the ashole for telling my sister the truth about her husband at her own baby shower? Throwaway account, because my real one has family on it. My sister Rachel married Mark 4 years ago. Golden couple, everyone says so. I never liked him, but I chalked it up to sibling jealousy and kept my mouth shut. 2 months ago, I was cleaning out our late father's storage unit and found a box of old letters between my dad and his lawyer. Turns out Mark had come to my dad before the wedding, asking for a loan against Rachel's future inheritance. When my dad said no, Mark asked how long Dad realistically had left, given his heart condition. My dad wrote that down. He wrote it down and never told anyone because he didn't want to break Rachel's heart before her wedding. My dad died 8 months after that conversation. Officially, it was his heart. He'd been stable for 6 years before that. I didn't say anything for 2 months. I told myself I was protecting Rachel. Then, at her baby shower in front of 40 people, Mark made a joke about waiting for Grandma's house to finally pay out once Rachel's mother passes. Everyone laughed. Rachel laughed. I stood up and read the letter out loud. The whole thing. Word for word, in front of his parents, in front of her friends, in front of the cake shaped like a stork. Rachel didn't speak to me for 3 weeks. She's speaking to me again now, but she still hasn't left him. Last night she texted me one line. "He knows it was you who found the letters. He asked me who else has copies." Am I the ashole? If you thought that was bad, wait till you see this one. My little brother's imaginary friend from when we were kids had a last name. Not really an AITA, more of a does anyone have an explanation for this. But stick with me, it gets worse. When I was 9 and my brother Caleb was 5, he had an imaginary friend named Old Ellis. My parents thought it was cute. Kids do this. But Caleb was oddly specific. Old Ellis had a bad leg, smelled like a shed, and only came around when it rained. Caleb stopped seeing old Ellis around age 7 and never brought it up again. We forgot about it for 20 years. Last year, our town's local paper ran a story on the house we grew up in. It's being torn down for a development. The article mentioned the house's history. It had been owned in the 1970s by a groundskeeper named Ellis Whitfield, who walked with a limp from a work injury and was known locally for a habit of watching the neighborhood children from his porch during storms. He died in that house. In the shed out back, specifically, the one that was still standing when we lived there, the one my parents told us never to go near. I called Caleb and read him the article. He went quiet for a long time and then said, "He used to tell me not to tell anyone his last name. I don't remember agreeing not to. I just never did." Then he said something that made me hang up and drive to his apartment that same night. "He's been in my house again this week. I thought it stopped when I turned 7. It didn't stop. I just stopped telling anyone." All right, moving on to the next one. Would I be the asshole if I let my roommate get evicted for something I did? I have been splitting rent with my roommate Rebecca for 2 years. She's the responsible one, always on time with bills, always cleans up. The landlord loves her. 6 months ago, I lost my job and didn't tell her. I've been paying my half of rent using a payday loan app, then another one to cover the last one, and it spiraled badly. 2 weeks ago, I finally couldn't cover it, so I quietly moved $600 out of the joint account we use for utilities, the one with both our names on it, to make rent, telling myself I'd pay it back before she noticed. She noticed. The electric got shut off. She confronted me. I lied and said it must be a bank error, and she believed me. She even called the bank herself and yelled at them for an hour about their mistake. Our landlord is now threatening eviction for the missed utility payment on record because it violates our lease. Rebecca has a job interview panel from her leasing agency in 3 weeks that requires no eviction history. If this eviction goes through, it'll follow her, not me, because the utility account is in her name only. I still haven't told her the truth. Part of me is thinking of just letting it play out and finding a new roommate after, since my name's clean. Last night I came home and found a printed bank statement on my bed, the $600 withdrawal circled in red pen. No note. She hasn't said a word about it since. She just smiles at me now like nothing happened, and honestly, that's scarier than if she'd screamed. Would I be the asshole? AITA for telling my mom I know what she did to my father on her deathbed. This happened 2 years ago, and I still don't know if I did the right thing. My father left when I was 12. My mom told everyone, including me, that he walked out on us for another woman and never looked back. I hated him for it for 20 years, never spoke to his side of the family again. My mom got terminal cancer last year. In her last week, heavily medicated, she started talking in her sleep, full sentences, clear as day, about a fight in the garage, about he wasn't supposed to hit the shelf like that, about moving something wrapped in the blue tarp we used to keep behind the shed. I didn't sleep for 3 nights after that. I drove to my childhood home, strangers live there now, and asked if I could see the backyard for old time's sake. The tarp was long gone, obviously decades gone, but the concrete slab under where the shed used to be didn't match the rest of the patio. Newer, poured different. I never called the police. I sat with my mother on her last conscious night and asked her quietly if Dad ever really left. She looked at me for a long time and said, "You were always the one who asked too many questions, just like him." She died 4 days later. I still haven't called anyone. I don't know if silence makes me complicit or just makes me the only person left who knows how the story really ends. AITA for not saying anything then or now. And before anyone asks, no, I haven't gone back to look at that slab again. I don't think I want to know what a new owner might find if they ever repair that patio. This last one might be the craziest of the bunch, so stick around for it. AITA for telling my mom I know what she did to my father on her deathbed. This happened 2 years ago, and I still don't know if I did the right thing. My father left when I was 12. My mom told everyone, including me, that he walked out on us for another woman and never looked back. I hated him for it for 20 years, never spoke to his side of the family again. My mom got terminal cancer last year. In her last week, heavily medicated, she started talking in her sleep, full sentences, clear as day, about a fight in the garage, about he wasn't supposed to hit the shelf like that, about moving something wrapped in the blue tarp we used to keep behind the shed. I didn't sleep for 3 nights after that. I drove to my childhood home, strangers live there now, and asked if I could see the backyard for old time's sake. The tarp was long gone, obviously decades gone, but the concrete slab under where the shed used to be didn't match the rest of the patio. Newer, poured different. I never called the police. I sat with my mother on her last conscious night and asked her quietly if Dad ever really left. She looked at me for a long time and said, "You were always the one who asked too many questions, just like him." She died 4 days later. I still haven't called anyone. I don't know if silence makes me complicit or just makes me the only person left who knows how the story really ends. AITA for not saying anything then or now. And before anyone asks, no, I haven't gone back to look at that slab again. I don't think I want to know what a new owner might find if they ever repair that patio. All right, that's everything I've got for today. Let me know which confession got you the most, because honestly, I still can't pick. And if you've got one you think deserves a spot in the next video, drop it in the comments. I read way more of these than you'd probably guess.